Satan, 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 our Lord and Master, I acknowledge thee as my God and Prince. I promise to serve and obey thee as long as I shall live. I renounce the other God and all the saints.
Don't listen to them! Don't listen to them!
Welcome back to the Ave Satanis podcast. My name is Jack Violently, and I'll be your host today. The Ave Satanis podcast is a presentation of the Free Society Satanist. We are a worldwide group of anarchistic Satanists under the banner of the Global Order of Satan. For more information and how to join us on Discord, check the links in the show notes. And speaking of show notes, if you look at the very bottom, we have this little tab called Support the Show. If you want to donate to our fundraising efforts, you can click that link and support the show. All money that we make from there will go into our fundraisers. Last and most importantly, guys, if you like the show, if you find value in what we're doing, please take a second to give us a 5-star rating on whatever listening device you listen to, be it Spotify, Apple, or any other thing like that. It greatly helps us out in the algorithm. All right, enough shilling for Satan here. Let's get into it. So this episode here, we are also going to be joined by my friend and yours, Cris, the Grand Inquisitor of the Free Society Satanist. What's going on, dude?
Hey, man, it's all good in the neighborhood around here, dude. Been having a great day. How about you?
Yeah, I've been having a really good one. This one here, both of us, so this episode here is going to be a bit more of a lighthearted one. You and I both kind of agreed that we needed almost a palate cleanser before we really dive into some heavy shit coming up in the next one, possibly 2 episodes. So we're just going to have some fun. We're going to goof around a little bit, and we're going to go to everyone's favorite land of neckbeards, Reddit. Specifically, we're going to be talking to and about satanic neckbeards. So Cris had this idea. The next 2 episodes that we have is going to be a real heavy, information dense, and very dark topics. So we're going to try to lighten the mood a little bit. You had the idea, as you always do with the good ideas, to kind of read through Reddit, read some posts, and then kind of talk about them.
It has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that I am chronically online ever since getting rid of my Facebook and Instagram and all of that shit.
Right.
I only have Blue Sky and a Reddit account at this point.
Right.
So I'm all the time on Reddit, on the Chevy Spark forums and shit like that. And of course, tangentially, the Satanic forums, our Satanism, our Satanic Temple _Reddit, a few of the others, just kind of trolling through, seeing what's being posted.
So, what we're going to do here, we're going to read the post. I don't know if we're going to read the people's names who posted them. I don't know if we...
No, I wasn't planning on it.
Wasn't planning on it. Okay, so we're going to keep these anonymous. We're basically going to read through, I think each one of us probably picked 3 or 4 maybe, and just kind of read. We're going to spend the next hour reading and debating Satanic Reddit. Oh my God, here we go. We have reached the pinnacle of content for you guys. Cris, this is... Oh.
Yeah, so I was looking through and there's some common themes that seems to pop up all the time on these subreddits, right? And it's generally going to be people that are brand new to the idea of Satanism. They're exploring and all of this. And I found this one, and the person, he wrote it out in a way that really caught my eye. And I'm not going to read the entire post, but he starts out saying that he had heard about Satanism a while back. It's something that he had just kind of heard in passing, but he recently got curious and decided to do some research. And that there's a bunch of things he completely agrees on. And in general, he identifies himself with these beliefs, right? But he goes further to say, since my country is an extremely, extremely Catholic heavy country, I got it infused in my mind since birth, basically, that I was told my whole life a bunch of bullshit about Satanism. And he comes in asking, now that he's kind of identifying with these beliefs and identifying with this idea, he has this sense of it being so taboo that he has almost something approaching shame.
Oh, wow.
Towards, trying to relegate the ideas that he currently has on top of his religious upbringing. So he finalizes the post by saying, so if you guys have any tips for ways I can get this taboo out of me, I would appreciate it a lot. So I thought that was really interesting. It had some really cool replies. What do you think?
So, it sounds like, kind of first finding their feet in Satanism, but having that, Catholic guilt, following them along and how to get rid of the shame and how to get rid of like just the lifetime of Catholic guilt they seem to have.
Yeah.
A lot of people, so there's two camps in Satanism. There's the ritual camp, and then there's the anti-ritual camp. Most Satanists tend to fall somewhere in the middle. I tend to as well, only because one of the previous 2 episodes we did, I did an unbaptism ritual. So I would think, maybe doing something like that, looking into or having one done for yourself, like an unbaptism ritual that really kind of gives you the power. It kind of puts the power in the person's hands, probably for the first time in their life. Another way to think about it would be just that stuff tends to go away on its own with time. Like with time comes everything. Like, with time comes repetition, with time comes memory, with time comes like all of that. So the more that you're away from Abrahamic church, Abrahamic shame that comes from church and all that, you can probably find it easier to walk away from. But my take would be to maybe, look into finding a group, a community, or just doing an unbaptism ritual yourself.
I do like that idea, especially for this user who says that he does have an extremely religious Catholic upbringing. There's an aspect to where, I personally don't observe any rituals. It's not a thing for me, sure. Right? But utilizing the language of where you're coming from, can be a very powerful thing. So if you're already steeped in this very ritualized religion and you start utilizing ritual practice to break free of it, there is a lot of good that can come from that.
And it's a bit of the familiar, especially with
exactly.
Catholicism is steeped heavily in religion, with the Eucharist, the communion. Everything they do is a ritual to a certain degree. Kind of, counter like Southern Baptist and Southern Christian, where they just sing songs, they take the communion, then they listen to a guy talk to him for an hour. Yeah,
we got like grape juice and saltines on Easter, and that's about it.
But yeah, like in Catholicism, like literally every part of their service or their mass is some form of a ritual. So having something like that could be the bridge between the two worlds. It's a bit of the familiar, but you're breaking free from it. So yeah, my thing would be, just stay away from it for as long as you can, and it kind of gets easier with time.
Yeah, definitely time. Yeah. When I first started recognizing that I did not believe anymore, and this is 20-something years ago, I had a hard time, I would do something, I would say something, saying the words "goddamn" was so fucking hard for me for a long time because it felt intrinsically like blasphemy, even though logically I knew I didn't believe in blasphemy.
Right.
It just felt so off-putting to me. And with time, that got a lot easier. And now I regularly blaspheme.
I've always been an asshole. So I told you, I grew up in the church and I went until I was about 14 or 15. Even back then, I remember being 14 going, God damn it, man, fuck this shit. But I've always been kind of a jerk. So I never said it at church, but I remember being real deep into church and going to Christian camp in the summertime, being 14 years old and just being out with my friends, talking. I was like, God damn it, what the fuck? So I've been a blasphemer for a lot longer, but I can definitely understand the worry. You feel like a lightning bolt's always just behind you until you realize it ain't.
And let's not there was one comment to this Reddit that I kind of like. The commenter said, in my experience, the only way to remove taboo from our minds is exposure to taboo. Yeah. It can be an uncomfortable and slow process, but it's often worth it. So there's an aspect of the more you steep yourself in it, the less taboo it becomes.
Kind of like, I guess they would be advocating for like immersion therapy. Like just
Kind of.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I mean, and
In reverse.
Yeah, that absolutely can help, you know, and if any of our listeners are out there or, you know, kind of struggling with similar feelings, you know, as you delve more deeply into whatever branch of atheism or Satanism or whatever have you, as you do that more and more and more, the more natural it's going to feel to you. Mm-hmm. So
I got one kind of in the same vein a little bit. They're cousins, I guess, these two to start off with. This one came from Satanic Temple _Reddit. Tagline, do you believe in supernatural? This question is probably stupid, but I've never seen it be talked about here. Does anyone here believe in stuff like ghosts or spirits? I figure this would be an interesting discussion considering I don't believe in that. I've wondered if other Satanists do. I haven't slept well for the last few days that now I'm seeing shit. So I think this guy's going through it.
sounds like it.
You know, haven't slept well. You know, the mind's starting to play tricks on them. But the question still remains, do or should Satanists believe in the supernatural?
That's a hard one for me. You know, I personally don't. I don't believe in anything extraneous other than the physical world I can see, touch, and experience, right? Yes, there are things about the physical world that I don't understand. I don't understand string theory, you know? I don't understand quantum mechanics.
Not many of us do, no.
But, you know, there's a lot of things that I don't understand, but I take it on, you know, the logical side that there are people that do, and I listen to those, right? As far as the supernatural goes, it is, for me, it's one of those comfortable feelings that people can maybe find themselves in. You know, it's I don't want to alienate somebody who may be listening who has these other thoughts, differing thoughts than I. But for me, you know, I think there is a certain comfort that comes from, okay, you know, maybe there is another force out there, whether it be a dearly departed loved one or something out there, right? Yeah. And then you get into, what about malevolent spirits? What about malevolent presences? What do those, you know, throughout history, throughout every culture, there has been tales of malevolent and benevolent spirits. You know, at some point in time, do you have to cross the idea of, do I have these beliefs because that's the culture I was raised in, or do I have them because I've logically thought about them? Right. That's kind of where I land on it. How about you?
So almost every satanic group kind of has a principle, a tenet, or a pillar devoted to this. So the third principle of the Free Society Satanists would say that logic and reason shall always prevail over superstition and dogma. Now, when we talk about stuff like that, when we say superstition and dogma, what we're really referring to is church. We're referring to, you know, usually Abrahamic religions, but also every other one that has superstition. And we would say that, you know, an invisible sky daddy is a superstitious notion to scare you into acting moral. But, you know, with that, if we are to say that God doesn't exist, it is a superstition, it is dogma, I feel like we would be kind of like calling ourselves hypocrites if we were to say, yeah, well, I guess there's probably ghost. We also live by the scientific method, like what you were saying. If we can measure, if we can observe, if we can see things, then we believe in them. And, you know, there's a lot of videos on YouTube where people go ghost hunting. You can't see this.
I love those videos. I'll go on like deep delves on them. I love them.
And for the listening people, I was doing the bunny rabbit air quotes when I said that, because a lot of those are really just visual effect movies that people put out. So once again, until I see a ghost come up to me and hit me on the back of the head and go, "What's up, fuck nuts?" then I probably will start believing in them. But I haven't been around it. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen any supernatural stuff. So I can honestly say for my life, I don't believe in ghosts.
Yeah, and like I try very, very hard to leave open the possibility that I'm proven wrong.
Yeah.
Right. If there was some way to scientifically test that a haunting happened, or you can appeal to past loved ones for favor or something like that, I would be very, very open to that scientific logic. Right. But as far as, I don't think it's there,
Right.
at least currently. And that even extends towards, extraterrestrial life forms visiting Earth. I'm very much so on the Carl Sagan side of space is really big, and, the universe is nothing if not efficient. So if we are the only ones out here, it's an incredible waste of space.
Right.
But when you look at the cosmic distances and you look at all the science that we have, that we currently understand as human beings, nothing really supports that aliens have been here. And certainly not like ancient aliens that seeded humanity and all, the sci-fi mumbo jumbo. It's an interesting, thought experiment, I think, but yeah.
And one final kind of thought that I had about that would be, if it seems like it's somebody's final holdout on religion. So you look to the invisible sky daddy for comfort. You look to him for solace. So trying to connect with past ancestors who, you think, your granddad's ghost still comes by and tucks you in at night. Like that still could be holding out hope for comfort where it usually probably isn't. It's just something that you've assigned to the situation, or like just a ghost that has inhabited your house is a message from the great beyond. Once again, it could just be more holding out hope for comfort that isn't coming. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
Like, and I do say, like I said before in the previous thing, I'm not one for ritual. I'm also not one for visiting the grave sites of people I have lost. That's just not me. I do, however, maybe it's a holdout of, a previous, experience in my life before I became Satanist, atheist, yada, yada, yada. But my father passed away about 5 years ago, and he was a big time motorcycle rider. He got me into motorcycles, and when he passed, we had him cremated. And I do actually have a small stainless steel vial of his ashes on the handlebars of my bike. Logically, I know that's nothing more than stainless steel, some carbon and organic matter, right?
Yeah.
He's not there. But the comforting idea that I can take a ride with him, that made me put it on there, I know he's not there. I know he's not there experiencing it. But it's just one of those things for me,
Well, and like, I think we had talked about this in one of the original first 6 interviews when our mics were garbage and we were learning how to work all the equipment. We've referenced them a couple of times here, but no, I would say, putting ashes or having like a little miniature vial on your handlebars of your bike is, it's like, like having your dad's glove or like having a flannel that he wore.
Yeah.
That in and of itself, it's not so much like that you're riding with a ghost beside you, but it's like you're taking a piece of them with you. So having a memento, having something tangible, and ashes are quite tangible, you do have a piece of them with you on the bike. So therefore, it's not so much the woo-woo science of it all, but like you're literally having a ride with your dad.
Like, I have tools in my toolbox that were given to me by my grandfather. And every time I use those tools, I'm remembering my grandfather teaching me how to use these tools.
Yeah.
Right. I used them just this past Friday to install some O2 sensors on my friend's car.
Very
I
nice.
picked up that wrench. I was like, my grandfather gave this to me back in like 2001 to start my first toolbox to put in my car,
Yeah.
So it's kind of that. I don't have like any motorcycle gear because I don't use other people's motorcycle gear of his.
Yeah.
So having his ashes on the bike, that's a touch point,
Sure.
So yeah.
Do you have our next one there?
I do. This one again is from the r Satanic Temple _ Reddit subreddit, and this one I see more often. Is often enough to be talked about, and it's a serious conversation. The person says, "Hey guys, I've been a Satanist for a bit now, raised Christian, and I was planning on telling my hardcore Christian mom that I'm a Satanist. The problem is she just bought a recorder that reads out both versions of the Bible, and she wants us to listen to every Sunday. How do I tell her that I'm a Satanist and don't want to listen to the Bible every Sunday?"
Ooh.
Yeah. And
right.
This, if our listeners, if especially our younger listeners who may be living at home, this is going to be a pretty important one. Please consider the advice of some old heads here.
Yes. And current age of between the two of us, 87 years old. So we can definitely help you out. You actually picked up right where I was going to go with it. It sounds like this person still lives at home. Yeah. I don't know if that's real or not.
I read further in the post, and this person did confirm that they still live at home. Yeah, I think they said they were like 17, 18, something.
So there are two lines of advice that I would give for here. Number one, if you do live at home, you have to maintain safety and security in your life until you can feasibly do it yourself. So if you're a teenager, if you're a high schooler, if you're young, or you still live with your parents trying to raise money to move out on your own, you may have to just go along with it.
Not only that, if you rely on your parents for anything, even if you don't live at home anymore, maybe they pay your car notes, maybe they pay your cell phone bill or carry your insurance or something.
So I'll actually give this piece of advice too. So I'm 44 years old. I haven't lived at home since I was 17 when I joined the Navy. So most of my life I've been away from my parents and away from home more than I have. And I still, my mom, I love her to death, but she is a QAnon far right. She's a MAGA. She's a MAGA supporter. She's a MAGA. And when she starts talking about that stuff, I tend to just glaze over. I'm like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the shorter the answer, I just nod and shake my head and nod and say, knowing that it's bullshit. And I'm just going to forget it when I leave her house. But I would probably tell this person to do the same. It sounds like they're still dependent on their family for groceries, for housing, for, probably insurance. Yet at 17 years old, I can tell you one thing right now. You don't want to be paying for that shit yourself right now. Life is real expensive and it ain't going to get cheaper. So go along to get along would be my advice there.
Yeah. And I'm very much so in the same way. It's an exercise in risk assessment. Right. You have to have a high level risk assessment to, if you rely on them for anything, right? What is your risk assessment of, okay, I tell this person, I tell my mom, I tell my dad, I get kicked out, I'm on the street, I'm completely cut off. What do you do then?
Right.
Couch surfing on your friends' couches at 17 doesn't last forever.
No, it doesn't. And it's a very short-lived endeavor too, because they're going to get tired of it real fast and word's going to spread. So no, you'll probably have a good 6 months that you may be able to do that, but then you will have to be on your own.
Yeah. So what I would say is, you've already, I think we can take a page of lessons from our friends and allies in the LGBTQ community on this. I'm not trying to equate atheism or religion to how someone just is.
Right.
So our listeners, please don't take that. But read on some of the subreddits for those communities when similar problems or questions come up and what their advice is.
Yeah.
More often than not, it is, okay, you have got to start making a plan. You have got to start figuring out when you can leave, how safe you are, and working towards that. And sometimes the best answer is not to be telling it at all.
Right. And so, and that's exactly where I was going to go next. So let's say you move out. Let's say you're now 25, 28, 52, like however old you are when this happens. At what point should you tell, family, like what will telling them accomplish? It'll just be the fight that you're probably going to have for the rest of your life. If you say, well, Mom, I've always thought Christianity was stupid. I'm a Satanist. Now you have a whole nother bag of worms on your hands. And telling them won't make your Satanism. You're not going to gain +1 Satanism by starting a fight with your family and telling them you are. So
yeah, we're not in ranked competitive Satanism here. So.
Right. So what would even be the point in coming out in the first place? It really won't serve you to do so.
Yeah, like I'm 40 years old. It's Memorial Day that we're recording this on, and I just got back from my mother's house. They made a wonderful, awesome brisket and some pulled pork barbecue. And at 40 years old, having been in the atheism space for probably well over 20 years now, and the Satanism space for 6-7 years, I have not told my mom anything about my religious beliefs. I think we have an unsaid agreement that we're just not going to talk about it. I think she absolutely knows that I'm at least atheist. Yeah. But it's just not a conversation I'm willing to have because there are people in my family that I still want to be around. My mother, fortunately, she is not quite like yours. She's not like hardcore MAGA. She is definitely conservative. She's, Southern Baptist and all of that. I'm pretty sure of who she voted for. Yeah. But, it's just not conversations we have. Even down to like politics, we just don't have those conversations because she doesn't want to hear. She has heard them before. My socialist screeds against what we currently have. But same. Yeah, I mean, you got to pick your battles. And if you can learn how to pick your battles the right way early in life, it's going to serve you well so much further.
Yeah. So, I guess before we get going too much further here, you want to talk, I think probably for the last time this half year about our fundraiser that we have going on that'll end pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you have probably heard me talk about before in the last few months, the Free Society Satanists, we have undertaken our first fundraiser activity. This year, this half year rather, we are benefiting the Metro Atlanta Mutual Aid Fund. You can learn more about the Metro Atlanta Mutual Aid Fund at their website, atlantamutualaid.org. They're a grassroots initiative created by community members from the Metro Atlanta area who have witnessed the needs of their neighbors and decided to effect the most positive change that they can. They put a lot of their efforts into benefiting the people of the BIPOC community, as well as the LGBT community, people with disabilities, the undocumented, and the refugee communities. All communities that right now in America desperately need someone watching their back. So we're doing this fundraiser, and it's going to be concluding on June 30th of 2025. So if you want to check them out at their website. The website is going to be in the show notes, and we'll have a link to our Discord in the show notes. In that Discord, there is a FSS fundraising channel where you can read more about what we're doing. You can see our financial statement that I put out, last month, for our first quarter fundraiser. I think we're actually at like $250 now. Mm-hmm. So we should be able to get them a decent little, fundraiser donation. So all of those links will be in the show notes. And again, it does bear to be said, our Discord, completely free. There is no membership charge. You don't have to go through Patreon or nothing. We're not going to do a Patreon. We, just come on in. There's a small application process, just to, but other than that, it's just a couple of questions just to make sure that you're not a bot, basically.
Right.
And you come on in and join the fun.
And also, too, like I said at the start of the show, if you don't want to join the Discord, it's totally fine. In the show notes, the last tab that you're going to see is going to be a support the show tab. If you want to donate to the Atlanta Mutual Aid Fund, definitely hit that link. Like I said, all money that we raise from the support the show tab will go to our fundraising as well.
And that also extends to merch purchases as well, right?
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, we had a guy today hit me up on Discord, was like, hey, man, I was trying to buy some merch. It won't ship to the UK. What should I do? I was like, hey, man, just, whatever you want to send me, just let me know and send it to the fundraiser and I'll get you shipped out. So, yeah, that donation today came from the UK, and I'll be shipping his stuff out later in the week. But
so what I was alluding to, all proceeds, all profits from the merch go towards the fundraiser. It doesn't go in anybody's pockets except for the fundraiser activities that we undertake.
Yeah, big negative on that. So yeah, let's get back into this. And actually, your plug for the Discord actually kind of ties into this third one here. This one too came from Satanic Temple Reddit. Tips.
A lot of Satanic Temple Reddit posts here.
Well, I looked through Satanism and
it does stand to be said. As far as our Satanism goes, that is really more so the Church of Satan side of Satanism, their Discord.
My last one that I have is from Satanism. So yeah, this one is from the Satanic Temple Reddit subreddit. And it's called Tips on Finding Fellow Satanists. Hi, I live in an area where there are no congregations remotely close, and it's a predominantly Christian Catholic area. I would love to meet other people to discuss satanic semantics. Well, that's a tongue twister. But they're either in complete hiding or non-existent. Before I assume the latter, I want to try the former. What are some ways everyone has found their community? So once again, that's kind of one of the main reasons why we created this podcast, was we were really looking for good quality satanic content, but we were also trying to put the beacon out that there is another, satanic group out there. If you are into anarchistic Satanism, which I'm sure that's not everybody's bag, but there's enough of us out there. So my answer to that would be, find satanic content, join up on Discord servers. Once you're in one Discord server, you can kind of like suss out where the other ones are. And more often than not, people are going to be in an area where there is no TST congregation. Because I don't even know how many are left at this point, but it's mainly just in big cities. So that's negating 85% of the nation. So a lot of people don't have access to a local satanic group. And when they do, it's usually monthly meetup. So at best, you're going to be hanging out one day a week or one day a month. So Discord servers are usually the best way to go about finding a satanic community. And I would say that the Free Society Satanists are one of the best out there.
Yeah, there's that.
I'm a bit biased though.
I mean, I may be too, but as far as like, I don't know if, yes, finding a community that shares common beliefs to your own is a major thing. And for all the ills of the internet, that has been one of the shining stars, is being able to find your community, being able to find your people, right?
Yeah.
But I think that, if you're interested in like extreme music, metal, death metal, black metal, yada yada yada, go to shows, man. I promise you, 90% of the people there are going to be into the same shit you are.
Wow.
You're going to make friends.
Okay. All right. So is there a secret handshake you do it? Because you're into metal. You're into
right, you're not in it. I can't show you the handshake, but yeah.
so we're referring to a long-standing bit. I'm more of a gutter punk and a sharp punk, and Cris is the Norwegian black metal fan. So yeah, like I don't know if you guys have like a nod or a wink or a handshake to let people know that hey, Satanist here, come hang out. That doesn't happen in the punk community. We really need to get that going.
I mean, I think your handshake is like a knee to the chin or something.
Knee to the nuts. Yeah, sure.
But, but I mean, it does stand to be said, if you enjoy doing something, go do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you like seeing, if you like metal, if you like music, go to a show. Like there are going to be local band shows all around your city. If you're in a big city, right?
Right.
And they're relatively cheap. I just went to like 2 weeks ago to like this concert. There's like 6 hardcore metal bands. They were all local Atlanta bands. It was like $20 to get in. And I had a fucking blast, right? But also that, if you have other hobbies, Magic the Gathering, game, like any kind of gaming, like tabletop gaming or whatever, go find your people there too, right? Mm-hmm. You know, it's a lot easier to make friends when you already are cultivating those relationships. You get introduced to so many other people through the friendships you make. And some of them may share your ideals.
That is the most succinct way to put it. Absolutely. And if you are into metal, there's a better than average chance that they will tell you that sooner rather than later. So,
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, just if you're at a metal show, just look for the guy with a big Baphomet on the back of his vest, and yeah.
Right. And if you are into Satanism, you kind of already know what to look for. Like you said, like the Baphomet, there's the inverted pentagram, there's the one hand pointing up, one hand, like the as above, so below fingers. You usually know the signs to look for on somebody's battle vest to ask them, hey, you know, what's going on? So yeah, make the community yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah. So this one isn't necessarily a specific post, but it comes from our Satanism, the inspiration for this particular talk.
Okay.
Aspects of fascism in Satanism.
Oh, joy. And also to a tie-in.
A little bit of a tie-in to our next couple of episodes, maybe episode or two. Yeah. But I see a lot of posts on our Satanism that have to bring up how Anton LaVey cribbed from Might is Right by Ragnar Redbeard in the Satanic Bible. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's a whole lot we have to talk about this except for directing you towards friends of the pod, Queer Satanic, and they made an article, what was it, like last month, that broke it down like line by line of what pieces from the Satanic Bible either paraphrased or just directly ripped from the pages of Might is Right. So there's that. That was a quick little one. Yeah. Sometimes it's fun to read through that subreddit and just like,
Sure.
And it's interesting because almost every single time when I see topics like that come up, there's at least a few people in the comments of like, yeah, we already know this. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, go, you do you, bud. Like,
and they don't seem to have a problem with it.
No.
They're not saying, yeah, we know. It's like, no, we know. Yeah. They seem to be okay with it.
Yeah. Not going to go too much further with that one.
Well, let's end on a laugh here. Okay, so this one is also from Satanism subreddit. Satanic phrases. Hi.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. I have a question. What is the satanic version of the following phrases? Now, this too insinuates that we do have commonly well-known satanic phrases for these. The first one he says would be hallelujah, has an exclaiming in the sense of thank fudge this happened. God, this person said fudge on the Satanism subreddit. What the hell? Okay, so first and foremost, hallelujah, I think we can all agree the satanic version of that would be hell Satan. Like, you know, something good happened in your life, hell Satan, or hell thyself, as I like to say. Bless you has in a sneeze. What would you what would you think on that one? So the early days of this subreddit, we kind of like talked about this in a group, and I forget who said it, but they said possess you instead of bless you.
I generally just default to saying get it out.
Yeah, you know, better out than in. You know, like well, you say that with a fart.
Little really Shrek over there. Come on, better out than in.
you make them. wait, what is it? Better an empty house than a bad tenant. Never mind. That's an Irish saying there. But no, Jesus fucking Christ. That's also another one. I got scared. I know Christians calling using the Lord's name in vain. So can it still be used? I think blasphemy is pretty well accepted in Satanism. I don't think you really have to have a satanic version of Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like I have no problem with that. I'm trying to think of like the antithesis of that.
Yeah.
Like Satan sweetly screwing you, Lucifer. Like what's going on? Like that just doesn't roll off the tongue like Jesus fucking Christ.
So I like, rather than saying like good God, I like saying sweet Satan. Sweet Satan, am I fucking mad about that? Like, good God, that was crazy. So in an exclamation of like, I can't believe that happened, sweet Satan instead of good God. No.
Okay.
One other one that I came up with, and this is such an old head phrase, like if you pulled this off in conversation, it would be ridiculous. So I was once again, like I've been reconnecting to my Irish roots, and like old English, they would say for king and country. Mm-hmm. I like for self and Satan. So like a toast would be, you hold up your drink for self and Satan, and you just take a drink there.
I do like that, actually. Yeah.
I tried to get that one started on the Discord server a few days ago. It may have just hit a wall.
We just need to get Side and make like a GIF of it that you just spam every other day. It'll catch on.
And I would do that for sure. But yeah, no. So satanic phrases, I don't really think you really need to have them. Like it's not something we really use other than kind of a joking kind of nudge, wink, wink to ourselves.
I mean, other than like hell yourself, hell you, or something like that, like that's pretty fundamental throughout most satanic spaces. Like especially when somebody has something that they want to brag about, that something good has gone on in their life, maybe they got a job promotion or bought a house or something. It's hell yourself, like right on, I think that one's a pretty universal one, but all the other ones, there's whatever feels right to you.
Yeah, bless you and possess you. I think that one's kind of funny. But other than that, I mean, make them yourself. If you feel like you need to have a certain dialect to let other people know that you are, then yeah, absolutely. You just make it yourself. But there really isn't any known colloquialisms that we use in replace of any of those. And my favorite was Jesus fucking Christ, because I think that's the most satanic one of all. It's blasphemous. But yeah, man, we've been going about 45 minutes. I have an amazing, so I actually can't wait to get to the music recommendations.
Yes, let's do that right now.
Let's jump into that shit. So, as you know, I'm a child of the 90s. I really love grunge, and I love punk that came out in the 90s. So like the grunge music of like Soundgarden, Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins. However, I hate Billy Corgan. There's a band. I think they're out of the Pacific Northwest. I think they're out of Washington State, called Rocket. And the song Take Your Aim, if you go on YouTube and you look for that right now, Take Your Aim by Rocket, you will literally think you are listening to a 35-year-old song. It sounds very much like, it sounds like Cherub Rock from Smashing Pumpkins.
Okay.
And once again, like I like Smashing Pumpkins. I don't love them. But the way that they execute that song, it's very Veruca Salt, L7, and Smashing Pumpkins. So it definitely tickles that itch of like 90s grunge nostalgia. And they have like 7 or 8 songs out now. Their Spotify is very chaotic. Every song is its own single. So they have like 9 singles out. But if you listen to them all in a row, it makes a pretty good album. There isn't a bad song that they've put out yet.
I'll have to check them out, definitely.
Rocket.
Well, the first thing is next week I got invited to go share a concert with 2 friends of mine with a free ticket. I'm going to go see Metallica for the very first time.
Oh, buddy.
And it's Suicidal Tendencies and Pantera, which,
Yeah.
But, Metallica, right? My first album that I ever bought with my own money was the Black Album when I was like 12 or 13, right?
Yeah.
I've been wanting to see these guys forever. So I'm stoked about that. But as far as new music that I'm listening to, there's a black metal group, kind of a solo project, honestly, called Black Braid. The guy that does it, he is Indigenous American, and he pours that into his music. Really, really good stuff. They just released a new single called War Drums at Dawn on the Day of My Death. It is so good. I've had it on repeat all day.
Very nice. There was another one. So before I get into this, I do want to rip into you a little bit. So you have a free ticket to go see Metallica?
Free ticket. All I got to do is drive.
I think you still overpaid on that one. No. Okay. What I want to know is, I've heard this as an internet rumor. I've seen videos, and I don't know if it's just like poorly timed, but depending on where you are in the round, I hope you can see the back of Lars for a little bit, because what I've heard happens more often.
You mean the worst drummer in all of music?
Well, yeah. Now, so I've heard that he is now gone deaf, so he has a drum tech behind him, patting him on his back to the tune of the tempo of the song, so he can play.
It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, they've been doing it for fucking 40 years.
Yeah, just about. But no, like, obviously Metallica, I mean, they're part of the big four. So,
yeah, they're classic. Like Metallica, Alice Cooper, Ozzy, you got to see them, right?
For me, if I were to have a free ticket to that show, I would be most pumped to see Suicidal Tendencies.
That's the one that's really getting me. I didn't I'm not heavy into Suicidal Tendencies. I have listened to a fair amount of their stuff, and I like it all. It's just not on regular rotation. So
they were like the hardest 80s like skate punk. They were almost like, like you felt like a badass listening to them. And I realized I was born in 80. So 80 through 89, the oldest I ever was 9 years old. So I was more a child of the 90s. But yeah, I had the Vision Streetwears. I had the suicidal hat with the bill bent up. Little 11-year-old Andrew, not knowing a damn thing about what this stuff is. Yep, had the suicidal hat, had the denim jacket and the Vision Streetwears. Oh, dude, I thought I was the shit. But yeah, no, suicidal. And then obviously when like Marvel came out and stuff, and like Tony Stark had institutionalized when he was down there wrenching on his car. I'm like, fuck yeah. So yeah, good, really good retro, like OG punk rock. So hopefully they play a lot from that time.
I'm probably just going to go like try to find something to drink during Pantera.
Yeah.
I was at Ozfest. I think it was 2004. And that year on the main stage, it was Dimmu Borgir, Black Label Society, Super Joint Ritual, Judas Priest, Ozzy, right? Mm-hmm. So Super Joint Ritual was like this quote unquote super group that had Phil from fucking Pantera as the front man. And they came out on stage. Mind you, that day I had also seen like 2004 era OTEP, Atreyu, Slipknot, a bunch of like Lacuna Coil. I was baked out of my mind by the time Super Joint Ritual got on stage.
Yeah.
And I remember it harshed me so much that he came out on stage, stumbled through like 4 songs. I think they had to restart the first song like 3 times because he was too fucked up to even remember the lyrics. And if I remember right, Zakk Wylde from Black Label Society, after like the 4th song that they couldn't even get through and they still had like 30 minutes left in the set, Zakk Wylde came out and played like a 30-minute set himself to fill up the time before Black Label came on.
Jeez. Yeah.
Like, it was ever since then. And then all of the other shit that has come out about Phil, like with the fucking Nazi salute on stage and shit. I'm like, but so, I'll go see Metallica.
So I wonder who's going to be the opening act. Do you know what order it's coming in yet? So
I would guess probably Suicidal.
Yeah, Pantera and Suicidal Tendencies are probably neck and neck in like relevance. Now, I guess Pantera, that would make sense because Pantera is trying to do new shit. Suicidal would probably be the opening act.
That would hurt Phil's fragile little ego if he was the opener.
Cry me a fucking river. But yeah, no, I saw that and I'm like, man, Metallica. I mean, so Death Magnetic had some good songs on it. This new album, 72 or Aeon Flux Eterno, whatever the fuck it's called. Like, I was listening to it at work one day and I was listening to it on Spotify. I was behind the gun taking shots. I had it in my ear and 30 minutes went by and I realized I haven't heard a different song. So literally, it's like a Ramones album. Like the new album to me, it just sounds like one long Metallica song.
Yeah, I haven't even listened. I haven't listened to any new Metallica since like 2010, maybe.
So have you, besides Flux Eterna, have you heard anything off this new album?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to get into it this week. I'm going to try to prep myself, you know.
What I would hope for you to do, and I hope to hear back tomorrow or the next day. Tomorrow when you're at work, at your computer, put your earbuds in, press start, and then turn your phone away. And then just do your work. You'll notice that you don't really hear the songs changing. It just sounds like, my God, I've been listening to this for 25 minutes. What song are we on? And you'll be song number 5. You won't tell when one song ends or begins. I would be interested to see if that also works for you.
Sometimes albums like that can work if it's like a hard concept album, but I don't know if Metallica has concept albums in their repertoire.
I think the only one that they did call a concept album was The Injustice for All.
Probably.
I think that's the only concept album they've put out. But yeah, no, dude, yeah, if you do that, just kind of keep that in the back of your head. Be like,
Jack,
I'll
do that.
Yeah, Jack said it was just one long song. But yeah, we've been rambling long enough here. Yeah, definitely check out Rocket, though. If you even remotely like that 90s grunge, they definitely scratch that edge. And female-fronted band, her voice just sounds so much like Veruca Salt and like L7 from that time, and it was a lot of fun.
Right on.
Well, we're going to get out of here, guys. Coming up in the next episode, possibly the next 2 episodes, we're going to have some really heavy-hitting information for you. So that's why we kind of wanted to come on today and just have a laugh. We appreciate you guys sticking with us. But yeah, until next time, guys, hail Satan and hail thyself.
Satan, 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 our Lord and Master,